Hello! In this video, I want to share with you my perspective on leverage and debt. This channel is part of the Retirement Track, which is an app to make early retirement social. The link to sign up is in the description. Before we dive into the top 3 leveraged products I use, let's have a common understanding of what leverage is. Leverage is the use of borrowed capital to increase the potential return of an investment. Although not always the case, leverage uses that as the funding source. In general, I like to use leverage, so here's how I approach it. The first leverage product I use is real estate. Yes, although many of you might not realize it, if you have a mortgage, you are using leverage. Let me explain to you why. Let's assume you have bought a property for $500,000, and given that you did not have this money up front, you finance it and you give 20% down, or $100,000. Now push forward a year and your investment is raised by 5% or $25,000. What is the return of your investment? Without discounting the interests you've paid along the way, your gross return is 25%. Given that you only put $100,000 down, $25,000 is 25% of that. This is leverage. I'm pretty confident that real estate is the safest leveraged product out there. If you disagree with me, please let me know in the comments. The second leverage product I use is a margin account. You have to be careful with the interest rates you are paying for this product. Brokerages allow you to use borrowed money to invest. They will charge you interest. For example, Robinhood charges 2.5% as of now if you have more than 1,000. On average, the S&P 500 appreciates around 9% a year. So this can be an interesting approach to allocate some leveraged capital to safe investments as a way to increase your returns. The last leverage product I use is option. If you buy an option contract, you are receiving the right to buy a stock in the future at a price you agree today. To receive that right, you have to pay a fee, also known as a premium. Why is this leverage? Let's look at an example. Let's assume stock A is selling today for $20 a share. If you were to buy 100 shares of that stock, you would have to pay $2,000 upfront. But if you feel confident that stock A is trading at a great discount and it should be worth $40 a share, then instead of buying the stock up front, you could buy an option contract expiring in a year. All option contracts have an expiration date, by the way. This contract is selling for $100 for the $30 strike price. That is the price that you are receiving the right to execute in the future. Push forward a year, stock A is now worth $40 a share. Here's the breakdown of the profit if you had bought shares versus options. Shares profit would be $2,000 since the stock doubled its price. 100% return of your invested capital. Options profit would be $10 per share. $40, which is the current strike price, minus $30, which is your strike price. Every option contract is worth 100 shares, so the profit is 1,000. Or 1,000% return of your invested capital. The risks with both margin and option contracts are significant. In the case of the margin account, if the stock goes to zero, you still have to pay the interests. With options, if the price goes below the strike price by expiration, your contract is worth $0. Yes, you lose 100% of your invested capital. Given the risks involved, you should always think twice before using leveraged products. Be careful with it. Don't leverage too much or spread yourself too thin. Let me show you a chart that will help you understand the risks with using leveraged products. Here's your account balance going up with margin and options. So for example, let's say you allocate 5% in options contracts and 5% margin. You definitely increase your upside potential because now you have more capital. But don't forget it, you always increase your downside risk. The biggest issue I see is when things are working your way, you start increasing your margin and doing more option contracts. Consider even short expiration dates like a week out. Here's how you are exposed now. Yes, you can easily double your balance, but you can easily lose all your money and start receiving margin calls from your broker. That's when your broker will call you to ask you to put more money or sell your positions. So should you use leverage? If yes, how much should you allocate? Unfortunately, there is no right or wrong answer here because it's personal. It has to do with what you're comfortable with. For the public account, I've enabled $5,000 in margin, or 10% of the initial account balance. I've also allocated 10% in option contracts. In fact, last Monday we've got our first contract. Tomorrow we will have a video dedicated to talking about that contract. So please make sure to like and subscribe to the channel to stay up to date with the public account. The goal is to reach 700,000 in 10 years and beat the S&P 500. This is no easy feat, and honestly, I'm not sure if I'll be successful in this experiment, but I'm fairly confident that we'll be making profit and learning along the way. I'll see you tomorrow.